Pastor's Wife Designs, and today I wanted to show you how to make an easel card. And this card is a little different than the normal easel cards that you see. First of all, let me just show you the front of this card. It's just so pretty. But the fun thing about this card, I'm going to open it up so you can see, is it actually is a side fold. So when it lands, or when you set it on the easel, you can see it here. It actually is a really pretty side fold, so that is what I want to show you how to make today. Alright, so this is the easel card that I want to show you how to make, and again it's just a real fun fold, and I'm going to go ahead and get started by telling you the supplies that you need for this card. You want some cardstock. I chose Night of Navy, and I have this cut at 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and then I have it scored at 5 1/2. I also wanted a couple pieces of designer series paper, and I chose 2 out of a pack that I had, and this is cut at, both of these sheets are each cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches. Then you will have some scrap pieces as well of the Night of Navy and Very Vanilla. You will be using the Paisley framelit die, the lots of labels framelit dies, and then the layering circle framelit dies. The stamp sets that I am using are the Paisleys and Posies, and then Wherever You Go, I'm using this Sending Thoughts Your Way sentiment, and then I will be using this leaf and this stamp right here. Use whatever you want. These are the ones I'm choosing to use. And then the ink colors that I am using today are the Night of Navy, Rich Razzleberry, and the Mint Macaron. And then I also have used just a little bit of the Mint Macaron glimmer paper and some copper paper from the glimmer papers from Celebration, and the copper paper is some that we had at Christmas time. So the first thing you want to do is get everything cut out. So I have my papers cut, and then I also used my framelits to cut out some layers. I did a circle. I did the scalloped circle and then a smaller circle for the inside. And I used the scallop that is about 2 3/4 inches around, and then this littler one is the just over 2 inches in diameter. So that is our circle, and then I also have my little labels that I cut, and I cut a bigger one out of the Night of Navy, and then a Very Vanilla, a smaller one. Then I also did my Paisley, a couple of things out of my Paisley framelits, and I did a Paisley and a flower out of the copper, and then out of the Mint Macaron glimmer paper I did a flower, 2 different flowers. So those are all the things that you're going to cut, and you, like I said, you want to have them cut ahead of time. And then I've also mounted my stamps so that I can keep everything in order. So let's go ahead first and let's do our stamping. And the first color that I want is the Night of Navy. And again, I'm using the sentiment out of the Wherever You Go. Going to stamp that in the Night of Navy. It's just one of my favorite blues ever. And I'm doing the Sending Thoughts Your Way. So we'll go ahead and get that stamped. Kind of right there in the center. Let the paper pull the ink off the stamp. Alright. And that is all the Night of Navy that we're going to use. And then I want to get out my Mint Macaron and my Rich Razzleberry and do my stamping on the circle. Alright, I'm going to ink up my stamp with the Rich Razzleberry, the Paisley stamp. this, just give it a nice press, make sure everything gets inked up. There we go. And then I'm going to set that aside. And then I want to get my mint macron. And I want to just stamp these leaves kind of randomly around on them. And actually that is all the stamping we're going to do. The biggest thing in this card is really the folds and the way it's put together. So that's your stamping for this card. Now we want to work on the assembly and the making of the card. So the first thing that I'm going to have you do is get your Night of Navy and go ahead and give it a nice fold and use your bone folder to give it a nice press so it's going to stay where you want it. Now you want to get your Stampin' Trimmer and make sure you have your score blade on it. And then what I want to do is I want to take and score this from this corner to this corner. So from that corner to that corner. And the way I do that is I actually line it up on my trimmer, and I take and make sure that I have a point, the point of each card in the where the score line is. So there's this point right here, and then this point right here, and I am going to just run my scoring blade. And a quick little tip on my blades, I have an S for scoring and a C for cutting, just so that I don't forget, and also for my stamp club so that they don't forget. Alright, once you have that scored, set that aside and then go ahead and grab your designer series paper. And I want this piece because that's going to be a piece that I need to cut. So I'm going to set it aside, and then was just deciding which side I want to use. And I think I'm going to go with the floral side. And again, this time you're going to kind of do the same thing, and you want to go from tip to tip on the paper. And this time we're not scoring, we are cutting. All right, and those are your cuts. We're going to come back in. And before we do any folding with this, the first thing I want to do is just do a little bit of layering, and I will be using my snail here to adhere this. So this is my inside piece that is going to go on the inside of my card, not the scored side, but the flat side. So go ahead and put your adhesive down on that. All right, so we want to just line this up on 3 sides, and if it's lined up evenly on the 3 sides, you know it's going to be lined up on the 4th side without you having to do anything with it. All right, that's all we're going to do with that for right now. Now go ahead and give this a fold over. And these 2 pieces that you just cut, you see that once they're cut, they're going to fit in here and have a nice edge all the way around. And this is how that's going to lay down. And then go ahead and get your adhesive on these and adhere these as well to the top of your card. Okay, so go ahead and place this down on this side here. Again, your 3 sides, and you can see how it just lines up. And there we have the top of our card ready. So now the next thing that I want you to do is open this up and fold this on your score line and give it a nice press with your bone folder. And that's all we're going to do with that for just a moment. Okay, get out some Stampin' Dimensionals and get your little sentiment that you stamped. And with the snail, I'm going to just adhere the sentiment to this framelit that we made. And then I'm going to go ahead and put some dimensionals on the back of that so it'll pop up, because that's what's going to hold our easel up a little bit. I think I'm going to go ahead and put 3 on it just so that it kind of pops up in the middle as well. I'm going to set those aside. And then I'm also going to set this aside for just a moment. let's go ahead and get our paisley gold piece and our mint macaron glimmer paper. All right, I have my silicone mat, and I'm going to just get some Tombow glue here. You could also use the fine tip glue, but this is what I'm going to use, is the multi-purpose glue. And I just want to put that on the back of these two pieces, and I'm just wanting to kind of put this in the corner here. Just give it a little depth and dimension, and go ahead and let that sit. And then I want to put my flower kind of so that it, I don't know, loops up and around somewhere maybe like that. And then that'll sit there and dry for just a moment. Okay, the next thing that I want to do while that is sitting there drying for a minute is assemble my little circles. So again, you're just going to adhere the white circle to the blue, or not the white, I guess it's very vanilla. All right, so we have that down. And then if you want to at this point, you could shred some ribbon and put on the front of it like I did on this one, or you can just leave it plain. Okay, I want to show you guys a little trick that I learned from my friend Connie for gluing small pieces and not getting glue all over your fingers. So what you want to do is you want to have some of your multi-purpose glue and your silicone mat. Put some glue down on it, and then have a sponge from our sponges that you've cut into quarters or sixths. I put a binder clip on it so I don't get glue all over my fingers. These small pieces, they're so intricate. This also works on vellum. And I just tap it into my glue, and then just glue the back of, just tap it down onto my pieces. The nice thing about this is you don't get glue all where you don't want it, and you're not trying to spread it around. And then once it dries, you can just wipe it off with a baby wipe or soap and water. So that is done, and I just want to lay this on my circle here, and then again with my all right, and then also the gold or copper one. Just figure out where I want it, and I think I'll just lay it right there. So I'm going to let that dry for just a second, and you see how we don't have any glue anywhere. Now bring your card back in here, and we're going to play with it for a minute because we want to figure out how to place our sentiment. So I've got my backs taken off my dimensionals, and I have my card about right here, and I like how that looks. Oh, I don't know, maybe let's just set that down, and I'm going to line that up. You see how I just lined that up with the card so the card's coming right to it. I'm just going to give that a little press, and there you see how that holds up. While I have this out, I have a couple of little rhinestones that I really like, and I want to put those on my card as well. And it just adds a little bling. And I will just set those kind of right here. So you see how that sits down there. And then finally, the last thing we're going to do is we want to add this so that it lays like that, but when it's opened, you can see that there's some space. So I will just turn this over and just figure out kind of where halfway is. I'm just going to eyeball it. And it helps to maybe use your grid paper a little bit so you can kind of see where you're going to run your lines across. And so I will just go ahead and put a pretty good amount of adhesive on this. I'm going to take my card folded like this and lay my circle down so I can see my adhesive line, and then give it a nice press. All right, and there you have it. This really stunning card that we have just a really unique fold easel on, and I think that would be fun for anyone to get. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great day keeping it creative.